Hey, welcome to Instant Value Handicapping. We're joined today by a special guest, the voice of Emerald Downs, Joe Withee. He's the publicity director up there, but he's more than that. He's a media presence there for the past 25 years. He's a lifelong handicapper, great racing fan. He's got encyclopedic knowledge of not only Emerald Downs and Northwest racing, but horse race pedigrees. We're really honored to have him here today on the biggest weekend of the Emerald Downs meet with the Longacres Mile come up on Sunday. Joe Withee, welcome to Instant Value Handicapping. Thank you for being here.
Roger, I'm pleased to be your guest. This is a great addition to horse racing media this year, your show, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, great. So we've got a lot to talk about here. You've got the not only the 86th Longacres Mile going on, and for people unfamiliar with the Longacres Mile or Emerald Downs, it's worth checking out. This race is wild. It's always a great mix of speed and stamina. It's the fastest two-turn mile you're going to see all year, most likely. The other great thing about it is a lot of times when a smaller racetrack hosts a large race like this, the locals in the race, they're kind of there to fill out the field. They don't always have a real shot. Here, every year, the local guys are going for the throat. It's a great race, and it's a lot of fun. It's on Sunday. Highly recommend checking it out. And also going on, Joe, you've got the 25th anniversary of Emerald Downs.
Right. This is our 25th season. Kind of hard to believe. Time marches on pretty quickly. We opened on June 20th, 1996. And that first mile, Is It In Good, shipped up from Southern Cal. He had only had one start in the calendar year. And that was the least of any mile winner until last year when another twist of fate, owned by Peter Redekop, trained by Blaine Wright. He had not run since the 2019 Preakness, and he dominated our mile under the lights last year as we ran at night for the first time ever. You know, it was a COVID year, but we keep track of a lot of big and small records around the Longacres Mile, and we've got a super field this year, Roger. Yeah, the 25 years, you want to talk about that. I was here from the beginning. I worked at Longacres starting in 1984, so this will be my 38th mile working the race. I was a fan since 1971. I grew up just up the hill from Longacres, and the first mile I saw was actually Red Wind by a nose over Briarctic, and that was a Washington bred winner at about 20-1. He was kind of an all or nothing horse that year, became a Washington sire, and the rest is history. Mile Day is just a holiday and a very special day for Northwest race fans.
Yeah, it sure is. I've been to many of those myself.
Yeah, it's a great race this year. I don't know how much you've looked at it, but wow, what do we got? I think I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Basically 7 horses like to show speed. That's how they don't do a lot of passing of other horses, but well, that's going to be a crazy first turn.
Yeah. I looked at it a lot, and and I also went through and looked at videos of the more recent miles to see how they played out, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great field. With a lot of possibilities.
What's that gate from? Do you know?
I think it's the Churchill gate because it's got 14 numbers on it. Yeah, it's the old Churchill Downs starting gate. I kind of went out to Kentucky and brought it on back. You know.
Well,
I wonder who has that. But
that metal fatigue.
Yeah. The mile has a great history, as does Emerald Downs. Emerald was built by a guy who loved handicapping, loved horse racing. That the lead investor was Ron Crockett. The whole place is laid out just great for a racing fan. I love being up there for live racing.
Yeah, it's Fans are back, as we know, at all sporting venues now. And let's hope we can keep it going that way. But it's great to see the fans at Emerald Downs. And, they look forward to the mile every year. We have plenty of promotions that bring fans. I think everybody gets a little bit bigger jump in their step when you have a good crowd. And we do pretty well with crowds at Emerald Downs. We have over the years. Mile Day will be no exception. We do have just 2 Washington breds in the race this year. Papa's Golden Boy, who's the 3rd choice on the line at 9-2, a just super dynamic front runner, and Unmatchable, who's been our state champion 2-year-old and 3-year-old. He's a 4-year-old this year, and he's going to get a hot pace to run out. He's not having a spectacular year yet, but he's real capable. And boy, if there's a pace meltdown, which certainly is possible, Unmatchable could really be picking up some pieces late on Sunday.
Well, I just posted a video today. I would say you stole my thunder, except it's going to come out before this video, where I do a segment called The Fastest 2 Minutes in Handicapping, where I look at a major stakes race every weekend, and Longacres Mile is the race I look at in this edition of The Fastest 2 Minutes in Handicapping. And I've gone with the 2-horse Bettor. Unmatchable is one of them for the reasons that you mentioned. And also the winning times the last 2 years for the mile, of, I think, of 134 flat and 134 and a fifth. And I pulled up a replay of Unmatchable's Muckleshoot stakes race from last year at a mile and a 16th, which he won going away, coming from way off the pace. But his mile split in that mile 16th race was 134 flat. So he can put up the number necessary to win this.
Yeah, good work there. And 5 career races at 2-turn distance. Emerald Downs has 3 wins and 2 seconds.
Right.
That's just an outstanding figure, and just the pace setup for him on Sunday is just.
Yeah, and he's got a veteran jockey.
Javier Matias won the mile on Barkley in 2018. Yeah, no problem with Javier Matias.
So aside from the mile, you talk about promotions. Emerald Downs has always been, in my opinion, really great at coming up with interesting promotions, and that's probably one big reason why the crowds there are always good for a track of that size. One of the ones that I've enjoyed over the years, and this is going back a little ways to the earlier years, is I'm interested to know how you did it. You brought Lafitte Pinkai Jr. up at least a couple years in a row to ride, and also Russell Bays, and those are the 2 winningest jockeys of all time in North America, and you had both of them at Emerald Downs multiple times. That's quite a coup. How did that come about?
Yeah, great moments in track history. We've been doing 25-year videos daily. You can go to our website, emeralddowns.com, and look at those. And we did one on the appearances of Pinkai and Bays. Well, Lafitte Pinkai, surprisingly, was having a little bit of a lull in his career there in the late 90s when he was chasing Bill Shoemaker's record. Business was really slowing down for him. And by the way, it did pick up, and he ended his career on a super high note. But he had a little lull there, and just through agents and other things, he did come up to Emerald Downs for selective weekends in 98, 99. And he was spectacular. Tim McCanna's in our Washington Hall of Fame as a trainer, and he said a couple of things to McCanna. I remember one of them was, did this horse get new shoes? And he goes, oh, yeah. And so Lafitte could tell just by the way the horse was going, even though he'd never been on the horse. And another thing, after a race, the horse won. And Lafitte told him, he says he's kicking himself. He's grabbing himself a little bit in the back. And Tim looks at the horse, looks at his feet, and said, what's he talking about? The horse just won. Everything's fine. They got him back to the barn and, gave him a bath and sprayed him down. They found 3 little cuts, on his back foot. And it's just the experience and Pin Kai has seen it all. He was super competitive, and his finishing power, his strength, his body is well documented, how muscular he was and fit, and his discipline. It was just, and to work with him as a media member was fantastic as well. We've called him many times since he retired to recap some races, mostly on Chinook Pass, who still holds the North American dirt record for 5 furlongs. Lafitte said he was the fastest horse he had ever seen and the fastest horse he had ever ridden. And then Russell Bays. Russell was born in Vancouver, Canada, because his father, Joe, who's in our Washington Hall of Fame, along with Russell, Joe was riding up there at Exhibition Park when Russell's mom gave birth. They grew up in Sunnyside, south of Yakima, and then he started riding at Yakima. That was his first win. He came to Longacres in the mid 70s, and he really wasn't a top 5 rider. He was close and no complaints, but boy, when he went to Northern California in 1980, right around there, the statistics are more than phenomenal. They're mind-boggling. The number of consecutive titles he won and the total wins at over 14,000. And he loved to come back to the Northwest. His dad would come over from Idaho, and Russell would come in for the mile so many weekends. In fact, Russell Bays, Roger, has more mounts in the Longacres mile than any other jockey. Him and Chris Loseth are the only jockeys to win the race at both Longacres and Emerald Downs. And just a pleasure to see Russell as well. Just what a machine.
Yeah, I didn't. That's surprising. Wow, he's more mounts than anyone in that race.
Yeah.
That's great. That's one of my fondest memories is going up there and watching those guys ride. It would be like, if you're a baseball fan and Babe Ruth came to, your local stadium and you got to watch them for a while. They were really, really exceptional riders, and it was quite a treat to watch them.
One more story on Pin Kai. This actually is at Santa Anita, and I was down there for a few days with Mike Puich, who's starting background Sunday in the mile. Mike started several horses. I was down there for a few days, and they were prices. I was betting them, and so Saturday was the Breeders' Cup, and at that point, Santa Anita ran a couple races, and then they stopped for the Breeders' Cup and then resumed. Did pretty well that year. And we come back to Santa Anita, and Mike is starting this horse by the name of IR Sharp, and Pin Kai's riding him. And he was a big price, like over 20 to 1. And I got smart and said, I'm not going to bet this one. And I think I'd been betting all of Mike's horses. Well, it was a typical Lafitte outside him at the top of the stretch. The horse had been prominent the whole race, and IR Sharp fought him off under Pin Kai all the way to the wire, won by a neck, and paid like $48. And I stood there with my mouth wide open. So that was a tremendous ride, and not a great result for me, but a lot more respect for Lafitte Pin Kai.
Yeah. He could keep him going like nobody. That's really amazing. So let's dig into the mile, Joe. We've talked about it a bit here, but 11 horses go. In my fastest 2 minutes handicapping, I say it's a great mix of sprinters, routers, rabbits, grinders, whatever. You've got it all in this race. Shippers from a couple different racetracks.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll kind of let you start the analysis here. How are you looking at this race?
Well, for handicappers, it's a real treat because it's kind of like a little mini Breeders' Cup race, and that horses come in from other venues. And this year, again, we have a horse from the Midwest background. We have a horse from Pennsylvania, Forest Fire, first-time runner at Emerald Downs. We've got the best horse from Western Canada, 5-star General, and we've got a Southern Cal shipper, Any Port in a Storm, who lost a dirty photo in 2019 in the race. So you've got all these horses coming in together against the top local horses, and you got to sort it all out. It's a handicapping test. The speed in this race is just tremendous. You've got Papa's Golden Boy, who his closing fractions last year, I mean, he came out last year and just everybody was, wow, look at the speed on this horse. And he won his first 2 starts. He almost won the Governors. He got beat right at the wire. But this year, his closing splits are better than last year. Trainer Vince Gibson and the Lusk family, who own him and watch him train every day, they say, yeah, he's put on weight. He's a little bit bigger as well. And with Julian Couton riding him, he's been able to rate him a little bit better while showing that fantastic speed that he can show. So he's 0 for 2 around 2 turns so far in his career, just 2 tries. One was the mile last year, which he did lead for a ways, but being a better horse, closing fractions are better, stronger horse, more rateable, bonding with his jockey, undefeated this year, super strong contender. And of course, he's won his last 2 races from the 1 post. Those were sprints. So he's going to be going. And then next to him, Forest Fire, he wins on the lead when he wins. Wind Ribbon has our fastest 6 furlongs at the meeting. Those are gates 1, 2, and 3. Wind Ribbon is 2 turns. Yeah. And you keep going farther out. 5-Star General likes to show speed as well. How about Any Port in a Storm? He's got the highest buyer figure for 2021 of the starters. He had a 98 in a sprint race, and he hasn't won around 2 turns, but just a couple in his career. So the gate, the jocks are going to be super alert, as they always are. And the first turn, wow, you could get hung wide in that first turn and not get a good trip. So there's going to be a super interest there. And the mile distance, Roger, is one of the reasons this is such a great race. As you mentioned, it brings closers into play, but you really can't take too much of a breather if you want to win the Longacres Mile. It's just a long sprint for really seasoned, tough, fast horses. It's just a super dynamic race. And we've had closers win. There's no doubt about it. At Emerald Downs, Striker PhD came from dead last twice, and No Giveaway came from 20 lengths to win. So that has certainly happened at this track. But, it's a race where you got to be tough and seasoned, and you got to be a really good horse.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking at the replay of last year's race, which was won by Blaine Wright's Another Twist of Fate, who's won stakes races outside of the Pacific Northwest, was second in the Lexington Stakes on the road to the Kentucky Derby as a 3-year-old. So a really excellent stakes horse won that last year, and 5-Star General chased him home. But in watching that race, I was thinking at first that Mario Gutierrez, who's a really patient jockey, I was thinking, he kind of waited too long. He was 3 lengths back most of the way. I think he was almost 4 lengths back at the top of the stretch, and then tried to move and catch Another Twist of Fate, and he couldn't. So at first I was thinking Mario was being a little too patient. You've got to be closer than that, even though the splits are lightning fast. I think they hit 6 furlongs in 108.3 or something. Mm-hmm. But then again, you can look at it and say, well, he just was never going to catch Another Twist of Fate, who is just too good. So as I look at this race, I think what I was settled on is he's the morning line favorite, 5-Star General at 5-2. And I wonder if he can really handle that pace and still finish strong. And does Vince Brune make the morning line?
Yes, he does.
I think he's captured this race just perfectly, because you've got, 5-Star General at 5-2, a 3-1 shot, couple horses in the 5-1 range. That's the kind of race it is. It's like, 5-Star General ticks a lot of boxes on what you would like to see in maybe a bettable favorite. But then again, there are question marks or red flags. So makes for an interesting race, interesting betting propositions here.
Yeah, Mario Gutierrez is a huge plus to ride 5-Star General. He's ridden him 3 times, has 2 wins and the runner-up in the mile last year. So, ironically, Mario Gutierrez, Roger, has won the Kentucky Derby twice, and each year that he won the Derby, he also won the Longacres Mile. So pretty good summers for him.
Yeah.
Glenn Todd is the gentleman he rides for. Glenn Todd is Mr. Western Canada. He won with Taylor said in 2012, Mario aboard. And he's kind of Mario's second father, and they're really, really close. So Mario easily comes back to Hastings anytime Glenn Todd beckons, I think. And Glenn certainly knows that he needs to stay in Southern Cal for the bulk of his time. But nonetheless, Mario's a huge plus for that horse. They could have different tactics, but if everybody's thinking push, what could happen in this race? You could have some wide trips at 43 and 4 or something to the half mile. Who knows? But he's certainly a contender. I'm gonna pick Background in the race, Roger, the 7 horse with the highest earnings for 2021 among the starters. That horse, he won a race at Oaklawn in which Rocco Bowen really asked him out of the gate. It was a muddy mile, 2-turn mile at Oaklawn. He asked him because he had an outside post. He asked him hard, and he gave up the lead on the backstretch. He was 30 something to 1 that day. And then when Rocco got him into the race again, he fell back to second, and he was a clear second behind the leader. Anyway, he had plenty of horse and he won the race going away. So Background has plenty of tactical speed. They're not going to mess around either. Rocco Bowen has got to know that horse very well. As you know, he's coming out of a couple races on synthetic at Arlington, which he performed well. He's performed on dirt. His 2-turn record is where he wants to be. It's outstanding. And the fact that he could lay second or third or something and Rocco could just get him to relax for a moment and finish, I think that horse has a lot of pluses in his corner this year. I'm going to go with Background as my top selection.
Okay, yeah, he's certainly an interesting pick here. It's going to offer decent odds. Probably all in all has a class advantage over most of the runners in this field. I can't argue with that too much. The long shot bug has bitten me here though. I was the first horse that caught my eye was Wind Ribbon. First of all, because Blaine Wright trains, and I'm old enough to remember Blaine's father, Richard Wright, and how phenomenal Richard Wright was at stretching out a horse 2 turns for the first time. It was a real strength of his. Blaine seems to have inherited that knack for doing it. Wind Ribbon stretches out for the first time here. Tough spot for your first stretch out, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
But I think that, so you mentioned he put up the fastest 6 furlong time in the meet, 107 and 2/5. After that race, he faced Papa's Golden Boy. And I think Blaine was thinking Longacres Mile all along, and certainly in that race, and decided to take Wind Ribbon off the pace maybe a little further than would be his normal running style in preparation for the mile. That's my working theory. So I'm not, if I were to reduce this race to a match race between Papa's Golden Boy and Wind Ribbon, certainly would give Wind Ribbon a better shot at a mile than at 6 furlongs. And you're getting 10 to 1 on morning line on Wind Ribbon, and maybe 4 to 1, 5 to 1 on Papa's Golden Boy. So anyway, the connections there, I think they've been aiming for the mile. That I like the odds there, and I also like the deep closer as a second pick at 15 to 1, Unmatchable, who has put up a 1 mile split of 134. And I'm hoping that if things fall apart, he can do that again. So we've had a couple of challenges in this video. Joe's iPhone shut down because it was too hot, and it has been hot here in the Northwest. So Joe put his phone in the refrigerator and we're back. And I think that's funny because one thing I was going to say about the mile is that it's going to take place on Sunday, where the heat wave that we're having, 100-degree temperatures have passed. But with the pace of that race being so red hot, we might get to 100 degrees again. And I think Joe's phone was feeling that. So anyway, Joe is going with 5-to-1 shot here, number 7 background in the mile on Sunday. I'm doing a 2-horse Dutch on some double-digit long shots, number 3 Wind Ribbon, and then on the outside he's number 9 Unmatchable, the deep closer. So hopefully I've got a stalker and a closer there. Joe's got a shipper who's done well at Oaklawn and Arlington, and would be interested to hear your opinions too as you look at this challenging 11 race field out there. So Joe, thank you for being here.
Yeah, you bet. Enjoy it, Roger. Love your work, your guests, just some really good information. Again, this is a really fine addition to Handicapping Media, and keep up the good work and enjoy Mile Day.
Oh, I certainly will. I'll be watching intently. All right, thanks again. You can catch Joe at emeralddowns.com. Lots of great racing. And oh, before we go, I just wanted to compliment Joe and the crew at Emerald Downs. They've done some really great stuff with their race day videos in between races and in the races. Vince Brune has put together great trip notes and other information on the Emerald Downs website. It's fantastic inside view of things. Joe's commentary between races will shed a lot of light on breeding and other angles that you don't get in the racing form. And the other thing that you guys have added that I love is when they show the fractions for the race, they're showing how far above or below the par times for that class level are in the race. You can see whether the race is unfolding very fast or slower than typical. Really great stuff they're doing at Emerald Downs. I encourage you to check it out, and check us out at lazybettorusa.com. Thank you for watching.